What's up, everybody? William John Raitt back with another episode of Design and Invest. This is a design deep dive episode of the flip you see behind us. This is in Arleta, California. This was a slam dunk flip, and we'll go into greater detail inside. It's a little chilly. Let's jump. Inside the house right now, I'm going to go over details of all the design choices I made, as well as the financials. So let's talk about the financials real quick. How much we picked it up for, how much we expect to make, how much we spent, etc., etc. So we purchased the property for $435,000, which is incredibly cheap for Arleta. Anything in LA, it's a cheap price. This property was listed for $530,000 on the open market, MLS. I don't really buy much on the MLS, but this property was listed for cheap. We called them up. The agent wasn't a great agent. They were overwhelmed or what, but we were able to negotiate with them because the property had squatters in here and they didn't want to deal with it. The seller, this place was abandoned for a while. The sellers had wanted nothing to do with it. So it was a you deal with them type of situation, all cash, no inspections, that kind of property. So we said, you know what? Let's throw them a low ball. Instead of $530,000 to ask, we threw them $400,000 just to see. Whatever. We're like, they're not going to call us back. We're not going to pick this up. Doesn't really matter. Let's just kind of throw a dart. They came back with a counter of $435,000, and we said, you know what? Yes, we're good with that. But we had one contingency. That contingency was that we had to have access of the inside of the property to at least do a visual inspection of it. So that gave us a little time to sort of vet the current squatters and the situation and all that. And yeah, so we picked this up, $435,000. We paid $15,000 cash for keys to get the squatters out. The people in here, it was basically a flop house. It was like 20 people living here. We had to pay them all like $1,000 each, and it came out to total about $15,000 for everything. The renovations are about $35,000, and the expected sale is just north of $650,000. So it's a good one. The best part about this is that it took 30 days to do this entire thing. This property was in bad shape, but there was a lot of good things going for it too, which I'll explain when we go through. The walls and the paint, I mean, this had smoke, stains on the walls. We had to do about 6 coats of primer, oil-based. I mean, to really just make sure that this place it's gonna last, and the paint stuck. I mean, it wasn't the easiest thing. But let's go over the details real quick about the design details and rock and roll. So a couple things this house had going for it when we purchased it. It had newer windows. It had experienced some sort of renovation in the past 10 years. So we had newer vinyl windows. Filthy as can be, had to bleach them to get them clean. It had a newer AC unit. We just needed to service the AC unit. The pool had a plaster that was somewhat newer. It needed a new motor and new equipment, but that was a big chunk. The roof is good shape. The stucco on the outside is in good condition. The plumbing had copper, it wasn't in terrible shape. The kitchen cabinets were, able to refinish them. And so there's a lot of good things that this house had going for it on top of the price. When doing homes like this, it's really important that you don't overdo things. If I spend $10, it better come back with a lot more friends than $10. So there's no need to overdo it. People, that's the biggest problem with flippers, is that they spend way too much money when it's unnecessary. For instance, this fireplace condition was fine. The brick, I don't like brick, so we painted it white. Looks a little shabby chic. The hearth, we patched it a little bit, painted it gray. We put some new corbels on the mantle, and just paint, blind curtains. That's a wrap in here. Not a lot to do here to make it acceptable for this buyer. Okay, off of the living room, there's this awesome little sort of getaway patio, balcony area, not balcony, little patio area. And over here, there was this funky chicken coop type structure. I don't know what the hell it was, but it had to go. So we took that out and just landscaped in this area with some cactus and some, some grass over here. The sprinklers were already in place. So on the outside of the house, sprinklers were there. All we had to do was fix a couple leaks in them. We put in some new sod and, just jazz it up a little bit. Even this, we didn't even repaint this. We repainted behind the chicken coop because it was just nasty. But yeah, you got this awesome little patio out here. The floors in this house were carpet and mixed with wood and tile and just really ugly. So what we did was we ripped them all up and all we did was put floating floors on top. So these are just laminate flooring. I paid $1.20 a square foot for these, $1 a square foot to install. Again, didn't need anything more than this. I like using this this material here because it's very neutral. The colors are good, they're grayish, they have a little taupe, they pull from different directions, and the pattern on these laminate floorings is not too in-your-face repetitive. So the knots in the wood, they're not too pronounced. They're just, they're perfect for this caliber of home. In here, we did recessed lights, only 4 cans. We didn't really, in the bedrooms, we kept the sconces. We didn't redo the lighting in the bedroom aside from new sconces. We didn't put cans or what have you. In the kitchen, we dropped some recessed lights as well. But as far as electrical goes, we had a 200 amp panel, so we didn't need to replace that. We just tied into it. All the home runs were in place perfectly for the kitchen, the AC, 30 amp breaker there. It was a pretty good, easy transition into what we put. This is the second bathroom, very small bathroom, but very to the point. We put in a new 24-inch vanity. The other one just wasn't nice at all. The medicine cabinet was fine, we kept it. The vanity light, we replaced that, 40 bucks. New faucet, 30 bucks. New towel bars, stuff like that. New toilet seat, paint, new door, hardware, done. Ran the same flooring inside, the same laminate flooring, which is not that advisable for laminate because you do have a shower, but totally fine, acceptable, because it's really just a guest bathroom. We are in probably the most important part of the house, and that is the kitchen. In this kitchen, again, this had been renovated at some point. They put new stone. These are granite countertops and like a talavera, not a talavera, but a travertine tile in the backsplash. And so all we did here was we painted the cabinets, we put new hardware, but the big value add here is that we put in a nice 36-inch stove. This is about a $2,000 stove normally. The brand is Cosmo, but I get this for about 550 bucks because it has a little scratch and dent on the sides. You don't even notice it, but it's still brand new. You save 1,500 bucks. It goes a long, long way putting something like this. The kitchen's layout was a little funky because this cabinet was right over here, which is over the stove. It had a microwave oven over that. But I knew that, you know what, I'm gonna put the stove in the same location, but put a range hood. I paid $250 for these range hoods and move the cabinet to the right. So now it acts as a above the fridge cabinet. And by putting a 36-inch range, it chewed up more of the space that was left over because there was an awkward gap about that big in between the stove that was 30 inches before and the fridge. And so now it fills it in very nicely. The backsplash did not continue over in this area. It was just a drywall. So what I did was I bought these stainless steel tiles that are about $8 a square foot, and it put 6 of them here as the backsplash, as well as a cover plate for this junction box that was just ugly and sort of now it just blends in and it looks very natural, easy to clean material. It looks very, cool, fresh. A lot of people are actually liking this in the last video that I did. And the stove, now you have a nice chef's kitchen. This is a proper stove. So in the fridge, I get these from my scratch and dent place as well. These are refurbished. I paid 600 bucks for this. This is a nice GE profile fridge. And new floors and new air gap. The air gap didn't match, but that's it in here. I mean, paint goes a long way. When I renovate homes like this, I like to try to keep some mementos or things that were either a architectural detail that I like on a property. I'll try to salvage it. Or in this case, there was some furniture items that I'm like, you know what? Most people will just throw this away, but I want to try to refinish it and keep it because, I don't know, call me Dexter and my little blood slides, but this is a piece that I liked, you know? This is a cool table that has like these raising tops and drawers on the side. So I refinished this, put some stain on it, but kept it rustic, and it really works. I love this table. I have a staging business, as you may know, so it'll just slide into my staging business, and every time I see it, I'll remember this property as a little memento. In the bedrooms, we didn't need to do much. We painted, patched, we've had to put some new doors because they had like fist holes through them and they were just real funky. But these doors were like 60 bucks. The door hardware, you know, 10, 12 bucks a piece. Looks fresh, looks new hinges. We did new receptacles and new light switches throughout the property. We didn't change the electrical in it. We just put the new up-to-date sort of square ones and called it a day. But turned out great. Closet doors were already intact. The closet rods and shelves were totally fine. So just painted and patched pretty much in the bedrooms. Okay, the first bathroom here is a hall bathroom, Jack and Jill from the hallway to the bedroom here. In here, the vanity was in decent shape. We didn't replace it, we just replaced the hardware on it. The stone was fine. The faucet was terrible, so we put in a new faucet. This shower enclosure was here, so all we did was we had my glazer come in, re-glaze the tile, I think for the tub, and the shower, it was about 800 bucks for the reglazing. We put a new shower head on there to just kind of freshen it up, and a new makeup mirror, the same size as the old one, you know, $50 for a new vanity light. And the flooring, we did the vinyl, it's like a adhesive vinyl right on top of the existing flooring. And it looks like a brand new bathroom, totally acceptable. We didn't change the toilet. All we did was put a new toilet seat. It was completely fine. And of course, painted the bathroom. But again, everything here just looked super funky. It was a hoarder's house. There was stuff just piled to the ceiling everywhere. It took us a 1 week alone just to get everything out of the house. There was literally stuff piled to the ceilings, as you'll see in the video, but it was a lot worse. It looked a lot worse than it actually was. This room was by far the funkiest. There was stuff literally piled to the ceiling, one little trail right here where you could walk in. There was even a cat that was left here. It was luckily also an outdoor cat, so when we put it outside, it stayed outside. But there was rats in this house, there was cockroaches, there was needles, there was pipes everywhere. I mean, it was really a nasty room, nasty house. Most people wouldn't touch a house like this, but where others see trash, we see gold. In most homes, I like to put the laundry rooms inside. This house, I didn't need to do that. I'm like, this is not that house. People are gonna be completely fine with how it is right now. It's a covered little patio outside of the kitchen. It was already equipped with it. The pipes and stuff were ugly, so I went ahead and brought some washer and dryer units from my warehouse to just sort of put in place as staging, basically. But I don't think anybody's gonna give two craps about this. It looks totally fine. Couple cool features of this house. It is back to an alley and has a detached garage, and it would be perfect actually for an ADU if somebody wanted to build that. And also it's in a cul-de-sac street. It has a pool, so it checks a lot of boxes that a buyer wants in a house. Thankfully, this property had newer plaster in the pool, so when we renovated it, we didn't have to do too much to it. All we had to do was service the pool. It was swamp green. We actually didn't even replace the water. Believe it or not, my pool guy's like, you could salvage this water. All you have to do is just, you know, do what he does. I don't know, but he worked out nicely. We put in new pool equipment, and we added a little fresh coat of paint to this chain link fence. But this is an area where people would probably spend money that they don't need to. They would probably replace this fence. They would probably do some other details, maybe change the back wall. You don't need to do that. If I did that, I wouldn't get that money back out of this property. I didn't want to landscape this property in the back. All we did was wood chips and called it a day. You know, wood chips cleaned it up, but I'll show you a video. This property in the back was cluttered with crap. I mean, this here took about 3 dumpster loads, just the backyard on stuff that was left back here. They had people living in the shed. They had people living in the garage. There was a trailer that they pulled up in the back, which actually is kind of a plus because you could have a boat and a trailer in this property, which they did, but not a plus for us trying to kick the people out. But it all worked out. And this cool pebble, I don't even know what this is called. I've never used this technique, but it actually cleaned up well. We power washed it. Looks nice. So here's an example of another memento that I took from this property that was out here. They were in terrible shape. These Adirondack chairs, I love them. I love Adirondack chairs. I own probably 50 of them for my staging company. But these ones, you know what? Put a little paint, shabby chic. They still look good. The cool feature about these, which none of my other Adirondack chairs have, is this retractable chase. Check this out. So there's your normal Adirondack chair, okay? And you pull it out and you have a little chase, a little footstool. I thought it was a cool feature, and they cleaned up well. If you were to buy these brand new, they'd probably cost $200 a piece, included with the sale. This house has a lot of great curb appeal to it. It's a nice mid-century ranch-style home. Like I said, the sprinkler system in the outside was intact. We added some desert landscaping. I actually repurposed these from another job that we had to clean out and thin out because it was just too much cactus, too much just foliage and stuff. So we repurposed it here, and 100% of these plants are repurposed. All we had to buy is the sod, 50 cents a square foot, and the wood chips. The rocks were also repurposed from around the property. We just put them in and sort of incorporated them into the landscaping. The side fencing over here was in terrible shape. It was a cinder block wall that was basically only being held up by the tree that it was leaning on. So we tore that down and we cladded it. We put a couple posts in there and cladded it with this industrial metal siding that we've been using lately at properties. And that's like 90 bucks a sheet. That fence was only a few $100 to put that fence up, but it looks cool. It looks the part. It has that industrial mid-century type vibe to it. And we didn't replace the stucco. Stucco was in decent shape. We just cleaned it up a little bit, touched up. We matched the paint for the fascia and the eaves and just touched up around the property wherever it was needed. Properties like this don't come along very often, but when they do, you got to jump on them. You got to move fast. Can't be afraid of obstacles like squatters, things like that. When we came in here and talked to the squatters, they're people just like us, and we just talked to them and said, hey, look, we're buying this property. This is what we need. We're going to be, doing this and that and fixing it up. And you know what? It worked out in our favor. And this one is a deal that I would do 10 times over. I love these kind of deals. We only spent like $35,000 on the renovation budget. So we got lucky that a lot of the things were actually going for us here. Again, we could have spent $100,000 on this, but the problem is we're still gonna sell it for like $650, $670. You don't need to spend that money. So 30 days later, here we are. And I'm sure it's gonna sell lightning quick. We're not gonna get greedy on the sales price. And that's it, guys. Don't overspend, don't overthink. And remember, design, invest, and repeat.